Hello everyone and welcome back. This is part 6. We're going to go over quickly, see the entire carving and sped up time-lapse video, and then we'll probably go over some saw setup basics for saws that I use for this project. And things that we will be discussing ahead will be the feather details, more into the feet, and we'll be getting into the eyes soon. So thanks for joining, and I hope you enjoy the video. In part 2, we did a lot of establishing on the feet shapes and working on eye placement, establishing the general shape of the beak, cheekbones, getting ready for feather detail, more head shape, cleaning, established and went over some of the tools for making the eyes, discussed some of the different looks you can give the eyes or even the head. Now in part 3, we move on to finishing up the eyes and getting into feathers. So here in part 4, we will get more into the feather patterns and laying out the patterns. You saw in part 3, we started cleaning around the eyes and doing the facial features, feathers, worked the feet a little bit here and there, and finished overall boosting of the piece to get it ready for the feather pattern. I want you guys to understand and take your time. Make nice carvings. You know, doing these cheap, easy sell carvings, it's getting to the point where there's way too many people out there just doing that, and so I'm trying to give you guys quality here, different perspective. So thanks for joining. Hope you learned something. So in part 4, we finished up the body feathers, wing feathers. Started into the more of the cross hatching on the chest. That nice diamond pattern. I just love that pattern. I think that's a nice pattern. Even though it's not realistic feathers, I still like the diamond pattern. And we did more of the wavy patterns, and then we started on the top of the head, and that's where we leave off on to part 5. Alright, so this video, part 6, we've gotten through all of the basics with the owl carving, feathering, detailing, doing the eyes, the toes, the nails, basic shape, rough out. Now we are going to briefly just cover my saws that I use. I cover all my different saws in many videos. I often go over what saws I'm using on particular carvings. I explain my saw setups in many videos, so if this isn't enough information for you, you should check out my other videos that are actually labeled specific to those saws and see what I have to say in that video. Just here, we have the owl to 100% carved from top to bottom. That was the point of this whole series, and to just briefly show, you know, go over basic saw setups as they're set up. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope this series was enjoyable and helpful. And so possibly part 7 may be a little bit of a reconstructed time lapse, but if not, part 7, part 6, this will be the end of this series, and we will get on to other things with the owl details, as there's such a variety of so many different things that you can do with just the one subject.
Alright, pardon me while I have to oil up for a minute here. While I'm doing that, I can go over what saws I'm using and what bars and chains set up. This is the Makita UC 4051A with a cut down Oregon Sculptor 16-inch bar. I cut it down to about 10 or 12. I'm not exact. I go by chain length. This is the 43 thousandths 3/8 pitch steel ultra low profile chain. I really like it. I can't get quarter pitch on this saw right away because it's a tough conversion to do. It takes a long time to do and takes a lot of setup, and so I decided this saw is a great workhorse saw, and it cuts quick. That chain cuts quick, and so far I've really liked it on. It's a semi quarter tip. It's a little bit smaller than a quarter tip, bigger than a dime tip. That's that saw. That's basically my rough out saw for indoors most of the time. You see I have my other saws. I got my bigger one that I could run any one of my 16 or 14 cannon bars on and use that for rough out if I need to go faster and do bigger stuff. This here is the Steel E14. It's an old saw. It's kind of a dinosaur saw, real hard to get parts for at this point. Great saw. I have 2 or 3 of these in a box and all the parts for 2 or 3 of them. That's the only reason I keep running them like I do, because I know that I can burn up motors and go through brushes and stuff. Now this is a Oregon Carver 8-inch bar, dime tip, which is, you know, dime tip's about index finger size, quarter's about thumb. 50 thousandths gauge quarter pitch chain. When I say gauge, like 43 thousandths, this is narrower chain than this. This is our 43 thousandths stock chain and bar on the 180C, MSC 180C, newer saw, newer version of this, the 140, 170, 180. Here is a Makita with a homemade bar. It's about a 6-7 inch bar. 050 or 50 thousandths pitch, or 50 thousandths gauge quarter pitch chain. I did do the quarter pitch conversion on that myself. Like I said, they take forever. They're really difficult to do. And I have videos on that, on what I do for that conversion, and I explain there how and why it's so difficult of a conversion to do. Basically because there's a hub. If you take that hub apart, the hub pretty much wants to just explode. It's spring loaded. Everything in it is under tension. So you need to do the conversion. It's a good idea to have a bench vise, a couple pairs of vise grips, needle nose pliers, and like a flathead screwdriver, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I did the conversion, but yeah, so those, I'm going to use these 3 saws, the Steel and the 2 Makita, mostly to do what I'm going to do next. I really do like the 180C with that chain and bar on it, but that's also more of a rough out saw, and sometimes it cuts quicker, sometimes it cuts slower. It depends on what you're cutting into. The chain being so small, it does actually clog up and bog down, meaning that it fills up quick and it cuts a little bit slower if it fills up quick. I'm working in wet wood, so yeah, it's going to cut a little bit slower.